All right, we're back, and it's COMP213, and it's week 9, lesson 9, part 2. We kind of dealt with this already, this piece, which is a navigation of an unordered list. We've changed an unordered list into navigation by using an unordered list with list items, and then using some CSS to take away the list style type, which we've already done with our reset CSS, right? Reset CSS takes care of this, but if you're going to do it manually, it's list style type is none. And then our text decoration, our underline, this underline goes away when we use text decoration for our A tag of none. The only difference between this and the horizontal, right, way of doing things, which is this way, is that we also add in display inline for the list items. All right, so that's the only difference. If you didn't use display inline for the list items, then they would just display this way. Okay, that's the way those things work. So if I ever ask you to do navigation using unordered list and list items, those are the two ways to do them. And we've already kind of explored that with our previous example, right, where we made navigation on the top inside of our header, right? Things to note. Display none means that the element is gone. I can basically hide an element, right? The other one is display block, right? And it's kind of displayed as a regular block element. So if I put this back to display block, it appears again. Display none, it makes it disappear. Display inline makes it so that it goes next to each other, right? Usually we apply this to like an LI, some kind of list item, right? Not all of these properties work with every item except for display none. Display none will always work. If you say display none in any one of our CSS, any one of our sections, they'll disappear. An example of this is back to this. If I want to say I want to make my photo gallery disappear, right? I don't want to display my photo gallery anymore. I've kind of penciled it in. But you know what? Later on I decide, I don't want my photo gallery. I don't know why I would do that, but let's just say. And I want to get rid of this whole photo gallery section, right? Well, I have a gallery right here, gallery H2, all H2 tags in my photo gallery, right? But if I want my whole photo gallery to disappear, I can just target my whole photo gallery like this. Gallery, right? And then I could say display none. And if I do that to my gallery, poor gallery is going to go bye-bye, right? Let me show you. Let me run this thing now. And there's no gallery. See, it's gone. I still retain some of the indentation and everything else, but I made that thinking that there's going to be a gallery in place. That's why you have this extra spacing here and here. So I'd have to rejig my layout, right? But here I've just said display none, and whatever element I say display none to goes away, right? So that's one thing. The display properly works pretty much with every element. Let's put that back. All right, so just a couple of notes before we move on to other topics. Right? I'm going to close some of these windows off. Okay, so that's what that does. And we've talked about, different choices of menu. I'll tell you, more often than not, you're going to see this is more of a common navigation screen for main navigation. Primary nav uses a lot more times using this kind of navigation than the other, typically. Here's something we talked about briefly. If I want to talk about my links, right? So if I want to have a set of links that I want to work on, so my A tags, it covers my A tags, right? So all of my link tags, anytime I have a link tag. Now, if I want to be specific and I don't want to target my navigation links, I'm not going to put it in my nav, right? Like let's say, for example, I have a tag. So when I get to the bottom, right, I want to kind of go to the top, right? Like we had this idea where you can actually create an anchor tag, right? I want an anchor tag that anchors different pieces of my document. An example of this would be this. I have the top of my document, right? My intro, and then I have the bottom of my document, which is my third heading. If I want to go back to the top, I could include that down here somewhere, back to top. And then I would do that by creating an anchor tag or some kind of link location, right, where I want to go up. How do I do that? You guys remember how to do that? Do you know how to do that? So I want to kind of back to top. What was that? Target? Target what though? Okay, so that what it does is it basically takes me back to the top of my thing. Okay, let's try this out. So I'm going to put in, I want to go do that down here. So I'm going to go in my index, right? At the bottom of my article, before by the end of my main, I want to put another little link. I want to say, I want to have an A tag, right? With an A tag with a reference of, you said what? What's your reference? Here's my link, right? And I'll say, you know, I'll say top, right? Okay, so I want to go to the top of the page. Do I just target, if I just do one of these, right? And I target the top. So I say my target is equal to top, right? Would that be good enough? Huh? I do it to the top? Let's try this out. Let's see what happens. So let's refresh. If I go to the bottom, I got top. Click top, goes to the top. All right? Okay. This is neat. There's a couple things I want to do here. One, I want to float this thing to the right. I want to right justify this thing, right? This thing right here. I need to be able to target it, however, right? So whenever I need to target something, I need to give it an ID. There's a couple of challenges. A couple of ways I could do this. I haven't wrapped it in anything right now. I could wrap it in a div tag, right? So let's do that. So we'll say div tag, right? And inside my div tag, I'm going to put my A tag, right? Put it in there, right? And inside this div tag, I want to give this a target, right? We'll call it back to top. Back to top. Something like that's really ugly. All right. So I'm going to say anything that has back to top, an A back to top, I can start targeting, right? The A tag within my div tag back to top, right? I can start targeting with style, right? Let's do that. So I'm going to say this back to top. That's my new ID. And I want to target my A tag, right? If I target my A tag, I can give it a color, right? Let's say my color is always going to be red. Let's see if that works. So I'm going to refresh and refresh, go down. Oh, I got a red color, right? Okay, I want to text justify this or text align this thing right, just like I did my other stuff. So I can say that. I can say text align right. Okay, so this is for all A tags inside my back to top, right? And refresh. And move this down. Oh, hey, what happened? Text align right didn't work. What the hell? What do I do? Right? Is it text align right in back to top or text align right in the A tag? Well, that wouldn't work. I have to actually create my container. I want to have my back to top container, right? My whole container is going to be text align right. All my text in my container. That's what it would be. That's where text aligning would be more proper. It wouldn't work in my back to top A. That's just for my anchor tag, right? Okay, let's see if that works now. Yeah, back to top right. So you want to read from left to right, and this is why my back to top comes in. Top kind of works, right? Here's something. This is cool and all. Right, back to top, it goes to the top. But when I hover over this, right, I want it to have a different color, and this is what this thing is here, right? My default state for a hyperlink, right? Here's my colors, and I could take this thing, right? These situations, all these different options here. Let's just take this, my PowerPoint. I'm going to kind of go to my CSS here, right? And I want to kind of put them in, but I only want them to be put in. These are the colors, these link tags, but only for back to top. Well, I need to add back to top in there. So I'm going to say, well, you know what? My default color, right? Here's my default color is red, right? But that would be my link color, right? I don't have to put this in there. So this is what I would put my links. I'm going to say one of these. So I'm going to copy this and put it here. And for my visited tag, whenever time I have a link to visited, it's going to change colors. And you know what? I'm going to have my focus tag when I focus on it, and my hover tag, and my active link. Oops. I'm going to have my active link. There's my active link. I'm going to get rid of this now. So now what I'm doing with these pseudo classes gives us almost like a filter that we add in beside with a colon. That's the syntax. Beside our other tags. So this tag here, it says when we look at all link tags, the pseudo class says that our color has to be this color, 0000, like this dark color, right? When we visit the link, it changes color. When we focus on it, right, it changes color. When we hover over it, it changes color, and the active tag looks different as well. All right, let's take a look. So I'm going to refresh this. Actually, the active tag and the focus tag look similar. All right, let's refresh. Let's see how this looks like. So if I hover over it, it changes color, so it gives us a little bit of feedback. If I click onto it, it's visited now. See? It's a visited tag. Right? Because it's already been visited, it's already colored red. We've already gone there. Right? Okay. Now, if you notice, there's a couple of them that are the same, and you can just simply do this. You can say our active and focus colors. So active, comma, focus, right? Both those things have the same attributes. The color is red, right? That's one thing. Our hover, I don't just want it just to have this light blue color, right? I also want the text or the font style to go bold, right? Font style to go bold. So I'm going to say, I got to be careful here because once I say my font style is bold, if I want it to go back to normal, I got to unbold it somewhere. So I'm going to go, so font weight bold. Right, there's our font weight bold for our hover. Okay, well, what happens when I do that? I'm going to refresh my screen. Okay, so here's the top, and then I hover over it. Oh, look, it gets bolder too. Right, this is good. Okay. Our link is normally this color, and when we visit it, it becomes this color. Make sense? That's what these little pseudo classes mean. When, for any link, any A tag with the, that's in link state, before it's visited, make it this color. That's what this means. When you visit any A link inside the back to top div tag, or div container, right, then change it to this, and so on. All right. Pretty cool stuff. So that's what this means. This stuff is going on here. And it gives some good examples here in the PowerPoint, which we'll have access to. Okay, here, before we go into positioning property, I want to start off a new file. So let's just, first of all, I want to do two things. I want to go into stop debugging here. I want to go into my Team Explorer. I want to go into changes. And I'm going to add this as an additional commit for your GitHub. So if you want to follow me at GitHub, you can see that there as well. Right? So I'm going to say added pseudo classes to A tag. There we go. And home unsync commits sync. And again, if you remember that, how do you get to that? If you go to the GitHub link, it'll show you the latest link for my files if you want to follow along. Okay. But right now, what I want to do is I want to kind of kick off a new project. So let's do that together. Right? Let's try this out. I'm going to go File, Close Solution, and we're going to do this. Remember we had told you I'm going to make you sick by doing this over and over again? Here's a new one, right? File, New, Project, right? And I'm going to choose ASP.NET Web Application, like we did last time, for those people who are following along with Visual Studio. And I'm going to rename this thing so it doesn't say Web Application 4 in my case. It's going to say COMP213 lesson 9, we'll say part 1, right? Because that's the first time we're doing any kind of code for purely for lesson 9, and for today's lesson, not following up from last day's lesson. And I'm going to press OK. Now here I'm going to use create new Git repository. You might have add to source control. You don't need to do add to source control because I'm adding this to my Git repository. Press OK. Okay, I'm going to choose empty from my my template, and I'm going to make sure that this is not checked, Microsoft Azure, or anything else, and press OK. When I do that, it creates this empty application like we had last time. We're going to use this as a lab, right, to try and figure this out together, right? So how do we do this? Well, first I want to kick off a new GitHub. I'm going to go to GitHub repo. I'm going to go to my new repo. I'm going to create a new repo for you guys to follow, and it's going to be called COMP213 Lesson 9 Part 1. Okay, there we go. And create repository. Okay, I'm going to get this link from GitHub so I can link to it. I'm going to go to Team Explorer, and I'm going to go home. You guys don't have to do this. Changes. I'm going to say initial commit, and commit, and then home, and then unsync commits. I want to put it in that URI and click sync or publish. And once now I go there, if I go refresh, if you guys go to my GitHub and look for COMP213 Lesson 9 Part 1, you're going to see kind of a stub of an application, right? You guys can follow along with. COMP213 Lesson 9 Part 1. Okay, we don't need that anymore. All right, so how do we create? I want to ask you guys now, because you guys have to, instead of watching, remember I asked you guys to do. I want to create a new index.html document. What do I do? Start from the beginning. Kesha, tell me. I'm going to put you up on the spot here. So I want to create a new index.html document in Visual Studio. What do I do? Right-click on my project, add, and there's two ways of doing it, right? What's the one way? This, right? What's the other way? New item. So those are the two ways to do it. So in HTML page or new item, that'll allow you. If I click new item, it'll actually ask you if you want to create an HTML page. Let's do it this way this time. And I'm going to make this index.html down here. Both the same things, right? It gives me a stub of a page, right? Stub of a page. And this is great, but I don't need some of this stuff. So I'm going to get rid of it like I did last time. I'm going to change HTML lang is equal to English, right? I know this is the old way of doing it, the long way. We got to learn how to do this together. We have a couple meta tags we're going to add in. What are the two meta tags I need? I need two meta tags. I'm going to go back to Kesha because he's the guy who answered my first question until he fails my questions, and then I'll go to somebody else. So what do I need to add? I need two tags, two meta tags into the head of my document. What do I need? What's the first one that I recommend? Okay, man. It's not. I wouldn't put keywords. I would put in meta, and I will put character set in first. Character set for me is the first meta tag, and it should be UTF-8. Okay, I'll give you one more chance. What's the second meta tag that I would recommend? If we're going to make a responsive design, good for mobile and all that kind of stuff, you need this one. Hint, hint. I'm going to test you guys on this stuff, so you have to know it, right? Two meta tags. What else? Well, the second one is meta, and then name is equal to viewport. We need that viewport meta tag because viewport tells us how big our size of the screen is, right? And then contents, this is the second attribute for this one. It has two attributes. Width is equal to device width, initial scale 1. And now what that does is says, hey, you know what? My screen is going to have, you might get different size desktops or a mobile or tablet or some different sizes of viewports that come in. And whatever the size comes in, change the width property. That's where the percentage comes in. My big container is the document container, right? My document container is going to change width sizes, and it's going to adapt to the size, my scale of my screen, right? Okay, I need to put a title, so we're going to make this COMP213 Lesson 9 Part 1. That's the first thing in my head. I also want to include my reset CSS. Oh, wait, CSS. That means best practices, like I said to you guys before, would be to create a CSS directory or content directory for Microsoft. So right click, I'm going to add a new folder, and we're going to call this thing content. Right? That just creates a place to put our CSS. right? And remember what we did last time. We downloaded and installed reset.css. Now, we did it a couple times. I'll do it one more time for you, right? So I'm going to look for reset.css. If I actually type in Google reset CSS, right? It's also called normalize. I go to the first link, meyerweb.com, resets our CSS. And why do we need to reset CSS? This is like the third time I've asked. Why? Because CSS comes, because browsers come loaded with own CSS. We want to wipe their CSS away and put in our own. And we want to reset everything to 0. It makes it for a better experience. And if you notice, it does a couple of things. Like, for example, vertical align baseline, margin and padding of 0, border of 0. We display everything as a block, right? We changed our unordered list and ordered list with a list style of none. Remember with list style? We take block quotes, make them none quotes. We change our before and after for block quotes to none. We also make our tables. All tables have a border spacing of 0. All this kind of stuff is what it allows us to do. Now, there's two ways. I can simply copy all this, right? So I'm going to copy this, right? And then create my new CSS document in the same way that I did my HTML document. I'm going to say right-click on my content, my folder. I'm going to add new style sheet. And I'm going to call this reset.css. And then I'm going to highlight everything and copy in my special reset CSS. And I'm going to give props to this guy, Meyerweb, Eric at meyerweb.com, because he's the one that made this thing, right? And I'm going to save. This is a very common thing to do, by the way, right? So we got our reset CSS here. Okay, next, I need to link it to my page, and I want to put it underneath my title, typically. So here's where I'm going to put it. Now I need my own CSS, and I'd want to put it underneath my reset CSS because that's the proper order. First I reset, then I put in my own. So I'm going to right-click. I'm going to add my own style sheet here. Here's my style sheet. I'm going to call this inside my content folder. I'm right-clicking on my content folder, and I'm putting in my own style sheet called main.css. And here's main.css. And if you notice, main.css has nothing right now. Okay, cool. Well, I want to link main. Here's my main. I want to link it to my document. So I'm going to drag and drop it here underneath my reset CSS. So now I have this folder structure. Okay, cool. My main CSS has nothing. My index.html has nothing. Now it's time for experimentation. So the topic of today is, hey, I want to fool with my position property. What does it all mean? Static, like it says here in the table, is the default value, right? The element is rendered in normal flow, static positioning. Fixed configures the location of an element within the browser viewport, and the element does not move when the page is scrolled, stays where it is. Example of fixed would be if I wanted to have a fixed navigation, right? Then I want to have my position fixed for my navigation, right? Okay, let's do that. So let's make a navigation, just as a recap of how to do a navigation. Well, I know that I need a couple of items. I'm going to structure my page yet again for you guys, right? So how do I structure my page? I'm going to use semantic HTML. I'm going to use my new HTML5 tags that I love, right? It tells us what the page does. So I know I'm going to need two things. I'm going to need to lay out my page, and I recommend this. It's almost like planning out your page before you do anything. So I'm going to say, look, I need a header, right? I'm going to leave my header open, right? I also need some kind of main content. Here's my main content. And you know what? I also need some kind of footer. And you know what? Inside my main content, inside my header, so I got a header, my main, and my footer. Inside my header, I'm going to put my navigation. So here's my nav inside my header. Cool. That makes sense, right? I've got no content. I'm just structuring my document with little containers, right? That's all I'm doing. Okay, cool. I know I want to put my my navigation on the top here is going to be using an unordered list. So remember how I do this. I have to use an unordered list first. The other thing I'd like to do is target my nav. I may need to target it, my navigation, by adding in some kind of ID. So I'm going to put ID, right, is equal to, and we're going to call this main nav, or primary nav would be the other way to do that. Primary nav is also another common name, primary underscore nav. And again, people can use underscores for their naming, or use one or the other, please, or camel case, primary nav, right? Just like we do in C#, right? So we can do that, primary nav. Okay, so now that I've done this, that's good. I need an unordered list for primary nav, right? So I'm going to have an unordered list, and inside that, I want to have some list items, and inside that, they're all going to be clickable, which means they need to have an A tag, right? Remember, this is my shorthand again, right? And my A tag is going to have a bunch of list items. So if it looks like this is the final result, right? Okay, cool. I'm going to undo that. I don't want just one. I want to have my home. Let's count them. I want to have my home, about me, right? About me page, most likely. Some kind of contact me page, right? Like those kind of three things. Maybe a products and a services. Those are like the top 5 pages you'll see in every site, right? Product, services, projects, whatever. So home, project, products, services, about me, contact me, right? Right? So I need 5 LIs, 5 list items, right? That's what I need. And I want my my A tag to have links, right? So here's my links. See my href value, you notice they all have the same blank, right? Let's put that back. Let's go back, undo. I could target my href value by using square brackets, right? Can I say my href value for each of these things is going to have this, right? So it doesn't go anywhere. All I'm doing is undoing. Okay, so I'm doing it and then undoing it, right? That's a quick way. And I also want my, so that's my first thing. I also want my my words, just as a placeholder value, to have link, right, with a number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, right? And if I want to number it, I can go just with a $sign. That's the shortcut, right? UL with 5 list items, each of them containing an A tag, with my href with a hashtag so that it doesn't go anywhere, right? All of the words or my text value that's inside of my A tag, right, is link, number, and then the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let's see how this works. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Right? Nice. Okay, we got our links, but I want to change them so that they don't just say link, right? Or link number 1, number 2, number 3. I want them to say home. Let's change the names now. Home, right? Products. If I can type services, I'm just going to rename them now, right? You know, about me and contact me. Okay, cool. Here we go. There's our navigation that's going to happen right now. The way it is right now, it's going to look very odd, like this. Take a look. Bam. Right? Home, product, services, about me, contact me. And the reason why it looks like this is because we haven't styled it, right? We got to create some styles. So let's go back into styling our links, right? And we're going to go into our main navigation. In our body, I'm going to make this a little bigger so you guys can see. Our body tag, we're going to define a font family. So font family, I'm going to call it, you know, again, I'm going to choose one of the Arial type fonts, right? As an example, like Lucinda Sans, right? A sans serif font, which is a nice one. That's our font family. Our font size, right? Our default font size will be 20 pixels. That's what we're going to say, like we did last time, right? And now we're going to target our nav. We're going to say ULs that are inside of a nav bar, right? All ULs and all nav bars that we ever create, right? As an example, just a UL. What are we going to do? Now, if you notice that, let's go back to navigation. Remember how the navigation was done? If we want to make it like this, we need this. Oops. We need these things. Nav UL, list style, type none. We've already done that. And an A tag, text decoration none. Padding right, we could add a padding right. All it does is pad the A tag a little bit. And then our display inline. Okay, cool. So I don't need the nav UL, I need a nav LI, right? A LI tag with a display inline. That's what I want to do, right? That's for our list item, right? Here's our list item. And for an A tag, all A tags, so nav, all A tags that are in a nav container, right, are going to have text decoration none. So we're not going to let them have an underline, right? And it says in our design document here, padding right of 10 pixels. Let's try that. Padding right 10 pixels. Okay. Here's something that I want. Going back to what we were talking about now for this topic, we're saying that fixed configures the location of an element within the browser viewport, but the element does not move when the page is scrolled. I want my nav bar to hover over my text. I don't want it to go away. I want it to be there static, fixed. Okay, cool. So what do I put it on? Do I put it on my nav bar, right? Or do I put it on my header? And that's where we have to decide. If we put it on our nav bar, that means that my header could scroll, my nav bar is going to stay the same. So let's try that. So say nav, right? So all navigation, that's what this means. Not just the top, but all navigation, right? Position fixed. If I do that, this is okay and everything else, we're going to get this. Let's just refresh and see what it looks like. Okay, so there's our home, products, services, about me, and contact me, right? And we don't have anything underneath right now. We haven't styled this to push it to the right. I want text align to the right, right? And again, what would I text align to the right? Not the UL, or not the I want to align everything within my nav element, right? So let's do that. So nav position fixed, text align right. So I want my right nav kind of thing, right? Text align right. Let's see how this goes. Refresh. Hey, how come it? What happened here? Huh? Sure. Saved. Or could it mean, right? I want to keep my text line right. Didn't work on my nav. Or could it be on my header? Right? Because my header is the containing tag, right? Header, text align right. Let's try that. Let's see if that's where it's supposed to go. Refresh. It didn't work. How come? When I do text line right, what am I really saying? The container that has text inside of it. Header doesn't have it. Nav doesn't have it, right? My unordered list has a bunch of stuff inside of it, right? So let's try that. So let's leave this the way that is right here. I'm gonna, and just change this to nav UL. So my unordered list, it's inside my UL, has a text line right. Hey, what happened? How come? Show you why. Remember, we want to troubleshoot. We're troubleshooting now. We're trying to figure out what's going on, right? Two things we need to do. What do we need to do when we troubleshoot? What's my recommendation? What's my recommendation to troubleshoot? Tell me. What's my recommendation with troubleshoot? When I want to troubleshoot my layout? Borders. I want to put borders. I want to apply borders to my layout. That's my recommendation. So I want to put a border around my nav. So see what it is. So I say border, right? And I want to put 1 pixel solid red. Something that makes it really stand out. Actually, let's make it 2 pixels this time to really stand out. Not 12, 2. Okay, I want to put it there, and I also want to put another border just to test it out around my, this is my nav, right? And first of all, let's see what happens with my navigation. Why is it failing? Why is it not doing what I'm asking you to do? Refresh. There's my border. Okay, there's my nav, right? You notice how it wraps already. It's already wrapping up, right? See that? It wraps my navigation, right? Okay. So my navigation doesn't have really a width, right? Even when I want to say, right, it's going to take up the space. Okay, cool. Let's look at what happens with my my header. So I have my header, right? And you know what? Let's put instead of a red border, let's make it a, I don't know, green border. Green border, 2 pixels. Just a troubleshoot. All right, let's see how that works. Wham! Hey, look at this, man. It's it's all messed up in here. Look, it's just one line. Why? Because my stuff is, because of display inline, right? Remember what's happening, right? It's flowing outside of my navigation and it's not being able to do anything. So if I use inside my header overflow auto, right? And I refresh, right? Well, hold on. Still kind of flat, right? I did it, right? But my green border is, don't understand. Well, what about this? I got my nav. It's kind of hovering around everything. I got my header. It's kind of flowing around everything, right? Overflowing, right? No problem. But I don't understand, right? Hold on. Let's see if I can take this away from here, my header. What if I put it over here? What does it do there in my nav? Just to show you what this does. Oh, hey, look at that. That's changed things, right? It made me so that I have this little, my thingy-majiggy here, right? How about my actual width? I could decide my width of my nav too, right? So a great thing to do, and this is what I recommend to all students when they first learn to start off. We made a nav already. Why reinvent the wheel? Take a look at our previous nav. Go back to GitHub, right? And let's look at some of these things. We worked on Lesson 8 Part 2. We had a nav in Lesson 8 Part 2, right? We're struggling to get this done, right? So let's take a look at some of our content. And let's go look at our main.css. And let's see what we did with our nav, right? Well, I have a header with a padding of 10 and a margin of 15 pixels and 15.0. That kind of gives us a header idea. Okay. I have a nav with the padding of 10 pixels, a background color of black, and an overflow of auto. So overflow definitely goes on the nav, right? And here's our header, right? Padding of 10 and a margin of 15 and 0. Hey, wait, 15 top, 0. Oh, I like this. I like this padding of 10. Let's see if that makes a difference here. I'm not changing anything here. I'm just going to copy what we had from before, right? That's all I'm doing. So I'm going back here and let's add that in. So padding of 10 and a margin of 15, right? And let's refresh. Okay, hey, look, I got a bit of my border here. Here's my nav, right? I got a bit of space in there in my header now, right? Here's my margin, my header, and then my nav has got overflow. And hold on, let's go back to my example, right? Because I had an example of working nav. Why would I reinvent the wheel, kind of thing, right? There's no point. Let's go back to here. Here's my nav. There it is. My padding of 10, my background color of black, which I did already, and an overflow of auto. Okay, I like this. And then I did my nav on the UL, right? My nav on the UL with text line right. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. See, I did that already. Right, but here's my nav. Okay. Background color black. Overflow auto. Don't need that anymore over here. Did it twice. Hey, you know what? My nav was first before my nav UL. Huh? I did this in this order. How come this makes a difference? Nav, nav UL, nav UI, nav that. Because it does. It's cascading style sheets, and you got to put things in order. And if you don't, you can come up with different options. Let's check that out and see if it does anything for us. Hey, it colors it this way, but how come it doesn't? What the hell? How come it? Hey, and this is wrong. Hey, I don't like this. Can't hardly see the letters, right? Well, what did I do to fix that? I said, well, text line right. My nav UL li, I displayed inline with a padding of 5. Nav UL. Oh, hey. Nav UL li. That's a little different than what I did before. Nav UL, text line right. Nav UL li. This is something we didn't do, right? And display inline here, right? Okay. That works too. That works just as good as display inline with this. Nav UL li, right? I like that. Let's see what that effect is really quickly. Okay, that's good. That's good. It gives me a little bit more padding. I like that. Okay, good, good, good. And what else? What else does it do? Okay. Nav UL LIA, my color is white, my text decoration is none. Okay, means the same thing, by the way. If I go screw nav UL A, right, or nav A, same thing as what I'm doing here. Okay, cool. So nav A, I'm going to put my color as white. It's my color. Color's white. My contact me page, right? But it's not spanning the whole size of the page, right? It's not doing that. How come? How come? Let's take a look at the differences, because we did have a difference here, right? Text decoration none. Text decoration underline for my hover. Well, I like that. So when I hover over it, I'll do a text decoration underline, right? And the same thing with my active. I don't have an active link yet, but I will put that in there. I might as well do that as well. I don't have a class of active, but I will. Okay, cool, cool, cool. I'm going to copy some of the CSS in here. Nav UL li hover, and then save everything. Refresh, refresh. If I hover over things now, it works nicely, right? Same as before, right? Did I make any differences here? Padding 10, background, float none. Float none. I got a float none in there, and a margin 15, and a background color, right? That's my footer, right? I don't want my footer. I want my header. Here's my padding 10, margin 15, right? And my images and my headline tags. That's it. Oh, I forgot my line height. Hey, you know what? Guys, what am I doing? What am I doing here? I'm taking an existing CSS file, right? And I want you to think about this as your document, right? This is your living document. You've done it before. Why are we reinventing the wheel? What if I just do this? What if I just take this whole thing, right? All the way down to what I need the nav, which is up here. What if I just did this? I copy this whole thing, and I went to here without doing all this work again, because it's all the same work we did over and over again, right? What am I making you do this? I'm going to highlight everything and print it, kind of use this, right? Worst case scenario, right? We should get with this same stuff, right? The stuff we want, right? So we can fool around like this forever. That's the point. And try and fix our problem. The idea is to understand what we did. Okay, good. So we did a fixed width, right? And what I want to do is I want to put other content in here. Okay. I also want to do one change. Where it says our color, right? Our color is for our navigation is black. Here's our background color. I also want to use an opacity, right? I want to put an opacity of 80%. Okay? Or, sorry, 0.8 is what it is. Okay, so let's check this out. Let's go here, refresh. Now you see it's a little bit, less opaque. And I want to use this thing to put some content in my file. So here I'm going to put it in my main. We're going to do this. We're going to create an H1 tag, right? And next to that, we're going to make this the H1 tag say, we're going to do hello world again, because I like that. Hello world, right? And next to my H1 tag, I'm going to have a P tag with lorem 200. Okay. There we go. And let's see what I get now. Okay, cool, right? We got lorem 200. There's no styling on the P tag. There's no styling on the H1 tag. All right. I mean, I did add some basic styling because we added some stuff in there. But you know what? I don't have enough in there. Let's add another one of those, right? So I'm gonna go back to this. Here's my main, and I have this, and I want to put this in like in different articles now. So I'm going to undo that change instead of doing all that work, and I'm going to go like this: article, right? There's my article, and I don't just want one of them. This is the great thing about using shortcut text. I want 4 of them, 4 articles with H1 tags that all say hello world, and a p tag with 200 characters. Let's see if that works. All right, 1, 2. Hey, what happened to my other ones? Oh man, and this is what happens sometimes. Because you can't put more lorem text than you have space for. Can't go beyond. I don't think you can go beyond 500 as a combination. That's why it gave me some zeros. So I got lots of content now, right? Got lots of content. And when I refresh, let's just check this out, right? I got this. Now I got to scroll. Watch my top bar. I got to scroll, right? I want to scroll down. But wait, hold on a second. This is supposed to stay fixed, right? It says it stays fixed, right? It doesn't move. How come it's moving, right? How you doing? Well, it's moving, right? Because in my main.css, when I want to use, first of all, I didn't put that in. I took it out. I wiped it away with my changes, right? So I want my header to be position fixed. So I say position fixed on my header. Let's try this out. So I wiped it away. Refresh. Oh, and that's what caused my issue last time. But look what happens. As I scroll, right, it hovers there, right? It hovers there because position fixed. It wipes away my stuff. And you know what? Look at the text is lost underneath here, right? I got like this weird thing going on, right? That's what position does, right? But it allows me to hover stuff. So if I want like a nav that doesn't go away, right? This is the way to do it, right? And of course, we'd have to adjust this, right? So it goes on the right. Any questions around that? That's what position fixed does. We'll get more into position absolute and position relative next day, along with your assignment number 4. Okay?